It's late March 2024, and I'm visiting the Deschutes River near the town of Maupin, Oregon. I'm going to be driving and biking along the Deschutes River Byway and camping at the Oasis BLM Campground. There's lots to see here as the Deschutes flows relentlessly towards the Columbia River Gorge, passing high cliffs and surging through turbulent rapids. The river has carved a deep canyon here in the high desert of central Oregon. Most of the relatively small amount of rain that falls here occurs during the winter. As it's very early in the spring, the trees haven't leafed out yet, but the winter moisture combined with the warming temperatures of spring have led to a crop of new green grass that can be seen in many places. To get to the Deschutes River Byway, I traveled south from the Columbia River Gorge and the Galles, Oregon on U.S. Highway 197. When I'd almost reached the town of Tye Valley, Oregon, I turned east onto Oregon Highway 216. At this point on Oregon 216, I've just reached the Deschutes River. On the right is Sherrars Falls. It has a drop of about 15 feet and is the last waterfall on the Deschutes River before it reaches the Columbia River. This area is part of the Warm Springs Indian Reservation. This is the bridge on Highway 216 that crosses the Deschutes River. At this point, Oregon 216 continues straight and a right turn leads to the Deschutes River Byway. The byway continues for many miles along the river and provides great access to the Deschutes River. Continuing south on the byway, there's now another view of Sherrars Falls. As I was looking at the falls, I noticed a large bird flying around the area. I wasn't sure, but I thought maybe it was a bald eagle. With the aid of a telephoto lens, you can see that it surely is a bald eagle. I'm continuing to head south, headed towards Maupin. There are several BLM campgrounds located along the byway. The first campground that I came to when traveling south was the White River Campground. The campground has 3 group campsites and 2 individual campsites. The group sites are located right along the river. The 2 individual sites are a little further from the river. Looking west from the campground, you can see where a railroad bridge crosses the White River. An important railroad line serving Central Oregon runs along the west side of the Deschutes River. Several times a day, including at night, a big freight train rumbles along the track. If you visit this area, you should be prepared to occasionally hear a freight train. As the viewpoint rises higher, you can see where the White River flows into the Deschutes. Continuing south on the Deschutes River Byway. On the right is the Oak Springs Rapids. I'm going to park a little further down the road where there's more room for my van and walk back to get a closer look at the rapids. From the shore you can feel the force of the water rushing past the rock in the middle of the river. It's too bad that there aren't any rafters today going through the rapids. I'm going to be camping at the Oasis BLM Campground. I'm going to pull in here, but the entrance with a sign is at the other end of the campground. I really like my campsite. It's right next to the river. With the side door open, I can look out of my van and see and hear the river. It's just a very short walk to get down to the water's edge. And it makes a great place to sit, watch the river, and listen to the water flowing past. When you get away from the city light, it's nice to look at the night sky and do some stargazing. Conditions weren't optimal as there was a bright moon, but there was still a pretty good star display. In the early morning hours, the moon set, and the sky got a little darker and the stars were a little easier to see. In the morning, I went out on my bike to explore more of the river. I headed upstream, which is south from the Oasis Campground. As I bike through the campground, you can see that at this time in the early spring, most of the campsites are not used. The Oasis Campground is quite close to the town of Mapen, Oregon. After a few minutes bike ride, I arrived here. If I turned to the right, I'd go on the bridge across the Deschutes River and then would head up to the town of Mapen. But I'm going to turn left, which will allow me to continue traveling south along the Deschutes River. This area is a popular destination for people interested in the beauty of the river and fishing and rafting. The shops along the river here are just some of the businesses that meet the needs of visitors. The Boxcar Rapids are just ahead. I suspect it'd be great fun to go through these rapids in a raft. Something for a future trip. Just a short distance down the road, there's another named rapids, the Wapanesha Rapids. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching.